session because I think a lot of people have expressed this concern, and we've been hearing this actually from a lot of our community that teenagers to unleash their potential. How do you deal with teens? And especially now, I mean, COVID has proven tough for us, but even tougher on the teenagers and even kids that are younger than them. So we're very excited today to have Rajat with us, Rajat Soni. He's an international teen life and parenting coach. For those of you who don't know me, I am Sukirti Gupta. I'm one of the co-founders of Sipping Thoughts. Sipping Thoughts is a no judgment platform, and it was set up keeping in mind the tagline, Real Women, Real Thoughts. We wanted to create a network of women for women, and of course, the men that have supported us. We reach to about 2.5 million women on a monthly basis, and we are continuously growing. So thank you all for your support. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and of course, please do check out our website. And about our session today, I think, like we said, the last few months we have witnessed our children as well as ourselves go through various emotions from being bored to getting aggressive, anxious to lonely, and to feeling guilty. A lot of us are very, very excited that finally the phase of this pandemic is ending. But still, I think a lot of people are also now dealing with the fact, how do we get readjusted back to life? Because we've gone into a total chaos. But as parents, we try our best, but sometimes we cannot get our point across, especially to teens, and feel helpless seeing them with gadgets all day, which is impacting their self esteem and increasing their loneliness. So today I've got the expert on this topic. I've got Rajat Soni with me. He's an international teen life and parenting coach, and he's the author of the international best selling book, Unjudge Your Teenager, which is a breakthrough for parentine. So this is a new word that has been coined, parent-teen relationships. He has empowered over 20,000 teenagers to be speakers, entrepreneurs, to think and to act like a leader in everyday life by imbibing social emotional skills in them. He has a twofold mission to empower teens with clarity in thought and action and to bridge the communication gap between parents and teens. He's been featured in many, many publications and has been a speaker at many events. In this session, we're going to share many tools and strategy, some of it from his book, Unjudge Your Teenager. He's going to give us a three-step process to prevent our child from damaging effects of technology and the ever increasing how to resolve that parent-teen conflict, why the traditional methods of parenting are just not working, the core principles of conscious parenting, and deep insights into what my teenager is thinking. Because Rajat, if you can do that, tell us what the teenager is thinking. I think you've got mission accomplished. So first of all, Rajat, welcome to Sipping Thoughts. We're excited to have you here.
I am super excited for this conversation today, and thanks, Sukirti, for such an amazing introduction. And there's something I want to say to you first. I mean, I have been following Sipping Thoughts for a while, and a testimony of the beautiful person that you are is in the content of your page. I mean, it takes courage, humility, empathy to present what you present. Gender equality, gender sensitivity, a range of topics, a range of people coming in. And I am one person who's a big fan of your page. And all this requires a non-judgmental attitude. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. It's this encouragement that actually keeps us going and keeps us motivated. But I'm going to delve into the question. And one of the questions, because you've been so deep into this, Rajat, what are the main issues that you're seeing teens dealing with during this pandemic?
Oh, during this pandemic, for the last 1 year, it was a time when, families were together 24 hours a day, and they were really not used to it. So a lot of times friends, so like the kids have their friends, right? The teenagers have their friends to go to. They would go out, they would play a sport. They have an outlet, right? Parents also used to go to their offices or work, or they were busy in their lives. So there was no connectedness, is what I observed, or very limited connectedness between the parents and teenagers. So there's a kind of, so the issues which I saw were a lot of issues leading, ranging from loneliness that the children felt, because they were not able to connect to their friends. And as we all understand, digital gadgets, instead of they do increase the loneliness more than what we imagine. You're missing on the real, the real life experiences. You may be on Among Us and all the games. You may be watching all the series what children watch. Money Heist is one of them, which a lot of teens and a lot of young adults and maybe some of us also watched. So, they were in that phase, but then there was a lot of loneliness, a lot of aggression, which could not be taken out probably on the field, especially in the age group of 15 to 17-year-old boys, is what I experienced. There was a lot of aggression which came out. Uh, in girls, 15 to 17, I saw a lot of rebellion coming out in terms of, so basically what was happening, again, they didn't have an outlet. Again, the boys did not have an outlet. So it was all coming out at home. Similarly with parents, now working from home, uh, for some became more challenging because they were actually working more than they were initially. So for them to maintain that work-life balance became challenging. Also, they were first time witnessing things with the kids that they had not witnessed before also. Or if we see our Indian environment, it's mostly the mothers who get to see more of their child's behavior and deal with it than the fathers. Again, coming from a patriarchal system over there. So also the role of grandparents in an Indian environment, it came from the grandparents also dealing with all the generations. So aggression, loneliness, anxiety took a rise. In some ways, in some cases, we saw beautiful bonds being created. I saw beautiful bonds being created between the parents and the children. In some cases, there was a lot of rifts, because in some cases, there were like three egos operating or three mindsets operating, none of them willing to change. So when that happens, it leads to a lot of things. So a number of issues which came in, but some beautiful things also came up in these years. A lot of teenagers found time to explore their skills. They were like, I have a student and she just really loves singing, but being in the school atmosphere and everything, she was not able to do that. But she used this time to enhance her own skills and work on things that she loves but she could not do because of the other environments. So a whole range of issues, but more it was around these.
Now, the second question, what do you base your learning on? Because, like we said, is it on your own experience? How have you kind of developed and understood the teenagers so well?
All right, so Sukirti, and firstly, everyone who's over here, it will be really nice if let's make it very interactive. So you have a chat box and just keep writing down. To start off, it'll be really nice to know which city you are all from. It'll be really nice to know what are the emotions you have been through in the last 1 year. What's been that range of emotions? When the whole Corona thing started, there was a different mindset we have, and now, how's your journey been? So it'll be really nice to hear from each one of you. Now, coming to your question, Sukirti, my journey, as people would say, was fairly unconventional. I'm someone who was into the corporate world. And hi, Smita, great to see you. I'm also from Delhi. So, I was someone into the corporate world and I quit the corporate world to be an executive coach. So I went through my necessary certification and I was fairly fortunate to have my first two clients who were CXOs of organizations since I had a corporate background. So I started with that. As I was working with one of the CXOs, we used to have 6-month contracts, one-on-one thing. In the middle of the contract, the one fine day, the CXO said that, Rajat, today I don't want to speak about work or I don't want to speak about myself. I want to speak to you about my son, who is 15 years old. And we've tried all kinds of professional help for him. And nothing is working. Okay. And the child was diagnosed with Asperger's when he was 4 years old. Now he was 15. So till he was 10 or 11, the father was still able to, you know, make things happen for him. But then again, as teenage comes in, it was both the things coming up. He would not listen to his parents. He wanted his own thing, but he was really suffering a lot from within. That's what the father told me. And at the end of the conversation, he said, and Asperger's, for the uninitiated, I'll tell in very simple terms, the brain is wired in such a way that you cannot make social interactions. You find difficulty in making conversations, how to start a conversations. They are not introverts, or they are not people, they are not someone who would not like to talk to people. Again, introverts and not talking to people are two different kinds of sets. Let me elaborate on that. Uh, but they just cannot. They just don't know how to do it. So, so he was dealing with that. At the end of the conversation, the father asked me, "Rajat, can you help?" And I was surprised because honestly, I was hearing about it for the first time then. It was not my area of expertise then. But he saw it in me before I saw it in myself. So he really insisted. And for the first time, Sukirti, I was seeing, a really senior corporate leader, and he was very emotional as a father because he's the only one who had really worked for his son throughout the years, despite being part of a big family. And then he said that you meet him once. And I said, give me some time, to get into. So, but he didn't give me time. We met outdoor at a pizza place. So pizza, again, a great comfort food for children. And for them, I always say it's like a pizza life. I'll elaborate on that later. So we met over pizza. So the pizza came, the father left, and it was me and the teenager in front of each other. I also had my initial set of this thing that, how it will go and stuff. But then I was the one, so he was really anxious. So he used to freeze in front of strangers. He was in that, literally freeze. So he was really anxious, shoulders slouched. And I was the one who was doing most of the talking for the first 15 minutes. Then somehow a connect was established. Uh, we started talking about various areas of his life. So whenever I work with teenagers, I discuss with them each area of their life, from their friendships to their family, their parents, to their academics, career, their personal growth, their self-image, things they want to be better at, their fitness, all the areas I discuss with them. When I came on career, he said, my father wants me to be a doctor. And once I become a doctor, I will leave. He wanted to leave the world. He wanted to give up on his life. And when he said that, something really hit hard within. Like most of us are thinking, it was just like, you want him to live like any other teenager with this set of complexities, confusions, like we all were when we were teens. And just let him have that life. It started with that intention. Then I tried to find an ASPE coach. But the beautiful thing about our thing was that point in time was that uh, our rapport was amazing. We connected. A child who would not sit with anybody for 10, 15 minutes. That day we sat for 1.5 hours. And at the end, I had 5 missed calls from his father, who called me and he said, "Where is my son?" I'm like, "He's where you left him. I have not done anything."
So that's how your journey began. So, Rajat, tell us. I know you work a lot with international teens, and I'm going to just now hand it to you because I think people are anxious to now get into the session. But are teens across the world facing similar issues, or are Indian teens, Western teens, are all these teens very different?
Yes. So issues are similar for sure. Again, it starts from loneliness to anxiety to aggression. And in every case, there need not be an issue because coaching is something which is which is basically where you are and where you want to be. So if it's about friendships, okay, fine. How happy are with you with the friends you have? You want more of it? It's where you want to be. So coaching is very solution focused. You work on the solutions. So even children who wanted even parents who wanted their children to grow in a certain area of life, that this is a time, so we want them to grow and have better personalities. But then again, coaching is about the children finding their own solutions, right? Because I believe they have that wisdom. It's just that we have to connect them to it by using very practical ways, because each child responds differently. So when you ask me globally, each child is different. Yes, their motivations are different. Somebody would get motivated by, say, rap. A Tupac is somebody they enjoy. Somebody would get motivated by soccer, or say a Neymar Jr. or somebody. Everybody has different motivations. Issues are very similar. So issues would be very similar across.
With that, I will hand it to you and let's get started.
Sure. So,
And a lot of
all
people
right.
have written, by the way, where they're from and what they're experiencing. So we see that emotions, restlessness, anxiety, hopeful. So I think that positivity. We've got Arti from Chandigarh, a lot of confusion, anxiety, but that's settling down now. So I think a lot of people are going from that phase of that confusion to that hope that's emerging in a lot of us.
Wow. And let's congratulate Maria here. She's written that
Yes.
she's from Mumbai and she's authored a book and she published it on January 26th. So congratulations. That's huge. And great. So thanks a lot, everyone. Barkha. Yeah, Maria, we can see you now. Yeah, and we see the book behind. There's a book behind you. There's a book behind me also. Great. So as you all shared that there is a journey you went through, there is a journey that parents and teenagers, we also go through. That's a journey from awareness to acceptance to action. For example, when the whole corona thing started, we were all, getting influenced by what people are saying. There is society mein ye pata chala, is society mein ye pata chala, and it was just increasing our anxiety. Slowly information started getting in and we got an awareness that this is what it is. Gradually we started accepting things that came with it. The lockdown, uh, I mean, I have never cherished my own house more than I did in the lockdown time. So accepting so many things, I never got that much time to spend with my parents as much as I did now. So it was you started accepting things and then you took corresponding action. Gradually we adapted to that situation and then it became a part of us. When I say I have a twofold mission, which is one for teenagers to achieve clarity in thought and action, it is about one simple thing where teenagers can prioritize their thoughts just like they can prioritize their time. Now, there are so many things that happen in a teenager's life every day, just like all of us. It just requires a bit of reflection. What is it that I liked most about today? What you have to be very specific. How was your day? Again, parents, when they communicate, they'll ask, how was your day? Okay, good. You will get one word answers. But if you ask very specifically, or if the teenager reflects very specifically, what is it that I liked most about the day? He would give an answer. How did it make you feel? Just like we work on expanding their vocabulary of words, we can expand their vocabulary of feelings, of emotions. We say, okay, so you're feeling happy. Even happy can have so many things. You're feeling playful, you're feeling contented, you're feeling interested, you're feeling accepted, you're feeling trusting. There are so many emotions attached to that. You're feeling bad. There are so many. And sometimes when we communicate, we don't get very clear answers from them. But that's what we want. So we have to be very specific in asking. So prioritization of thoughts. Once they're able to prioritize their thoughts, they can prioritize their time and they will know. Again, when we talk about procrastination, so procrastination, Sukirti, was one more thing, which is was the most prominent actually for the throughout the year. Too much into their comfort zones. Too much. Children got too much into their comfort zones. Especially with respect to the online classes, you would often find them doing something else during the offline classes. Some of them even slept, some were on YouTube. A lot of stuff was happening. So prioritization of thoughts and prioritization of time. And I will come to how to do that. And the second mission, which I talk about, is the mission of creating more connectedness in families. So bridging the communication gap between parents and teenagers. The maximum teenagers I work with, they say that adults don't understand us. They have never taken, so you know, it's very easy to say, go shut down your phone and study. But it takes a different thing to say that, to understand that the phone is not purely a tech device, it's a relational device for them. It's their way to be in touch with their friends, especially during this time and otherwise also. So that's where you bridge the communication gap. I'll be talking more about it as we go forward. Journey of awareness, acceptance, action. Awareness comes from the level of, as parents, take out time. In fact, in my book, I have presented the entire tool on how you reflect on every area of your life, starting from your relationships to your social circle, to your career, to your finances, to your health and fitness, and give yourself a score between 1 to 10 on how happy or satisfied are you with respect to each area of your life. Identify your gaps. Because, like I tell the teens, just like in a pizza, and a lot of teens like a lot of margarita pizza with lots of cheese and cheese oozing out. If the if the pizza on the cheese is not good, or if somebody's put blue cheese on it or something like that, your entire experience, even if one slice has a bad taste, it spoils your entire pizza. There are exceptions. Some say still it's pizza, I'll eat it. That's a different thing. But then it spoils your entire experience. So if one area of your life is affected, it impacts all the other areas of your life. So identify where the gaps are and what is it that I need to do to go from here to here. What is stopping me from reaching from here to here? What are the strengths, the amazing qualities that I have that can take me from here to here? Who are the people, the external people who can really help me in this situation? We don't have to do everything on our own. I mean, I would say that it's not only in India, but I see that globally. Uh, and I'm saying that because I'm on a platform which speaks so much about gender sensitivity and gender equality. The mothers, I'm not saying it as a generalization, but in most cases I have seen, they have taken too much responsibility and there's so much on them. I was having a conversation with a client, with a family. I did a family session that day, and it happened a few days back. And the mother said that whenever I go to my son, who's 14 or 15, or whenever I go to my husband for something, I don't ask for help otherwise. I try managing everything on my own. But whenever I go to each of them, both say I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do. Nobody thinks of that. So I said, okay, fine. Just share your schedule with them for a change. And she's one person who wakes up the earliest. She's not the one who wakes up earliest, but she wakes up at 6:30 in the morning. She sleeps at 11:30 in the evening. She's working. She is managing the home. She's managing her children. She's managing the child's emotions also, the emotional well-being of the child also. So many things she's managing. She never says that you know, I have a lot of work to do. So, and the family is someone who was very receptive to this, and they understood that. And they said that, yes, So realization step in. And it was a very fun conversation we have. And whenever I do family sessions, they are fun. We laugh our heart outs because it starts off like that. And the end, and in the end, you realize that, oh, it was just this small thing. And just small things, how they can make a lot of difference. So one way of awareness is that. And another way of awareness is what I spoke about, prioritization of your thoughts, spending time with yourself, which is your me time, where you reflect upon your day. There are a lot of apps you will find for that, but I still say writing is the best way to do it. Write it down every night what your thoughts are. What did I like about the day? What did I not like about the day? What is it that is in my control? What is it that is not in my control? What are the positive thoughts? What are the negative thoughts? Then write the opposite of the negative thoughts. Sometimes simply saying, I cannot do it. If in your mind you feel I can do it is highly idealistic, just add a yet. I cannot do it yet. That can make a whole lot of difference because it takes in possibilities. All right. If
So,
you feel that,
yeah,
yeah,
Rajat, coming back to now. So, do you do the same with the teenagers? The same approach is first asking them to also write this down. Write down and kind of almost keeping a diary almost every day of what is it that they like, what it is that they did not like, what were their positive emotions, what were their negative emotions.
yes, Sukita. So I have something which is called a success toolbox for teens, and I take out things from that. So there are sheets for them. So like they have Kumon sheets and sheets from different subjects. Here they have sheets where they work on themselves. So there are thought sheets, there are conversation sheets, there are sheets for participation because a lot of things happen where the children are not participating in their online classes or they're not making participation happen. There are sheets for them how they can speak more confidently. So it's because if there is no action, I mean, I can motivate the maximum I can in a session, but if they are not working on that, change doesn't happen. So yes, with teenagers, I use these sheets very often. Yeah, so if you feel that the session is adding value to everyone over here, please write in the chat box value. All right, there's Anuradha, there's Arti, Meera, Chaitra. Hey, Jagpreet, good to see you here. Great to see you here, Jagpreet, Shaina, Ratna. Amazing. Kritika, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your things. Now, going on to the second part, which is about, so also awareness, a lot of awareness in terms of what my teenager is thinking, what is really going on his mind. So understanding that they, most of the time they spend is in figuring out who they are and figuring out their day. Sometimes uh, a child would come, he would look really angry or really aggressive, and he would not say a hi to you, he would just push off to his room. There is a lot that is probably going on in his mind. What is coming out is aggression, but what is really beneath it? That awareness is really important to know. It may be that he you know maybe he had some kind of a rejection in school, something happened, something that is not affecting him, something that is really affecting him. He had a fight with a friend, or maybe the girlfriend or the boyfriend, they kind of either there's a breakup that happened, or somebody said something, somebody landed up in the principal's room without their fault. So many things that happen in a teenager's life. It's not easy being a teenager, especially in these days. It never was and it never is. So gaining that understanding and then going and talking to the child. So first, it's about giving them that space, that they are in the room, they're figuring, they're not necessarily hiding something from us. If it happens for a prolonged time, just go give a knock and say that I'm worried for you. Keep your doors open for sure. Then have a conversation. which is a very different conversation there. Instead of just snapping, we often complain that our children snap at us. What about us? So a lot of understanding on that. And when it comes to understanding, it comes to the second part, which is acceptance. When you will be doing the awareness tools, the exercises, you will also realize your triggers, your own patterns, your own, the traditional parenting styles, because often you follow, sometimes even if you're not intentionally doing it, subconsciously you will follow the way you were parented. That comes into practice sometimes. So understanding your patterns, understanding your triggers, understanding that the parenting paradigm has quite changed over the years. We were not born on a bed with mobile phones. At a lot of places we find ourselves competing with the action and engagement of the phones. So a lot of awareness on that, in that area, is important. When that awareness comes, the second step comes as acceptance. In acceptance, I talk about, you will only be able to accept yourself and your child when you're doing four or five things. I'll talk about a few today. The rest are in the book, and also I think we won't have that much time, but I'll try to cover as much as I can. First and most important, build exclusive time. Everybody write down in the chat box, time. Build exclusive time with your teenager. It's, that's a time when there are no mobile phones, no laptops, and there is a non-judgmental mindset. And now everybody is thinking, what will we do in that time? What do we do then? If there is no phone, there is no digital, what do we do? So there are a whole lot of things. You can start by sharing your own stories, your own childhood stories, your teenage stories. Again, becomes a very good, without lessons, no lessons after that. So I did this wrong, so you don't do it. Or I did this right, so you also do it. No lessons. Just share your stories. Let the child absorb things at his own pace. Let him first feel connected to you. All right. Let him see your imperfections. Because sometimes what happens, children sometimes see us as so perfect that when they, when they enter teenage, or at a certain age they enter, they get a lot of shocks that, okay, ye kaise ho sakta hai, kya ho sakta hai? So it affects so let them see your imperfections. Let them see that, okay, we've also messed up things. We also had things like that. And how did we rise over that? So share your stories. I was doing this with the family in another family session. I said, okay, let's play the OCZ game. It's called the out of comfort zone game. So everybody shares what is one thing you did in your life, which was where you just thought you cannot do it, but you did it. When your child sees you opening up and sharing your vulnerabilities, he will share too. He will share too. So when I talk about nurturing teenagers, and that's the first step to it. The second step is unjudge yourself. So many impressions created in your mind, so many impressions of the day, so many belief systems in your mind. When you're going in front of your child, clear your mind and go in front of them. Have all your visual senses. I mean, when I do my sessions with teenagers, I do a lot of personal coaching work with them. My energy levels are different. I get to those energy levels, and because they connect to it. So whenever you're talking to your teenagers, talk to them like that, see how they start responding. Let me tell you, all tips I'm sharing, nothing happens overnight. It takes time. Coaching takes time. Relationship building takes time. Revamping relationships, creating rapport takes time. You may not get the positive response the first time, but keep at it. Okay, so Listen to your favorite music, whatever you like, before you're going to talking to him, but go with a very, very peaceful mind. You will, you know, uh, when I'm working with teenagers, there's a lot of defiance also that comes in sometimes. There are a lot of emotions that come in. But if they see us managing the emotions well, they will manage it well too.
Rajat,
So
a
modeling.
question now. When you're saying spend time, a lot of us do activities together, do something together. Is that all part of that spending time, or has it to be much more conscious than that?
Activities is great, but is it happening regularly? If it's just like a one-off case, then it doesn't work. So see, again, it is very specific to everyone. If that is something that is working for you, if that is helping you create a rapport with them, great. Otherwise, uh, if I say from my experience, every day, if you're having a certain conversation with them, say even 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes is the time. And then once a week, you can have like a family activity or a family session, which is longer. So, and I have seen families who don't even talk for 15, 20 minutes end up talking for 2 hours because there is so much to share from each one of them. So, very case specific, but if it works for you, great. If it is helping you creating the rapport with him, if it is helping you manage the regular common teen stuff, then great. Yeah. Okay. Are there more questions? Thank you for everyone for writing the time thing. Sneha, Anuradha, Deepthi, Kritika, Arti, Barakha. Thank you so much. Yeah. So that's the word TIME, time. The third thing is, which is also the title of my book. And you know, Sukiti, there was so much when I decided the title of the book to be Unjudge Your Teenager. A lot of people came up to me and said, you know, I shared with a few of my close people that I'm going to put this as the title of my book. They're like, what is this title? Don't put this title. Nobody's going to buy it. You're like, you know, literally, what are you trying to say? Parents like more softer words, okay, right? Like empathetic parenting or something, you know, something like that. If somebody has that book, please, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that that's what came to me. But you know, when something comes from your core, and and it kind of worked. The book went on to become a bestseller, which was like amazing. Anyways, unjudge your teenager. When I say unjudge your teenager, uh, I'll give an example also here. There is a parent and a daughter, a mother and a daughter who came to me. This was pre-COVID, of course, and they, the mother was like really, you know, saying that, you know, my daughter doesn't listen to me. She's not listening to me at all. Something has happened to her. This, that, this, that. So the daughter was 16 and the mother was there. And she was saying it in front of her. Everything was being said in front of her. Then, when I spoke to the girl separately, she said that in school, you know, there were people calling me fat and not in a very nice way. I tried sharing it with my mother 2, 3 times. She ignored it. Ignored it as in she was busy in some other things. So it didn't strike her mind. When I said, told her very categorically, she said, Dekh, maine tere ko kaha tha, patli ho ja. Write down in the chat box what is lacking in this conversation. What do you think is lacking in this conversation? What is that one thing? With kids, you know, whenever I ask these questions, I start playing hangman with them because they really respond to that. Yes, Uma, that's the word. Beautiful. Yes, understanding, empathy, communication, open conversation. Why is your daughter suddenly turned rebellious towards you? Because she's not feeling understood. She just wanted empathy at that point in time where you at least understand her emotions, what she is feeling, rather than just jumping to saying something so extreme. And speaking of this, this also comes up when children are exploring their sexuality. Sometimes children are confused, teenagers are confused on what their orientation is. Sometimes they are confused about it. And parents sometimes really pass. Some parents are very supportive. I kudos to them. Some parents start passing judgments. Sometimes a child is not even sure. Sometimes it may be a result of also a lot of, sometimes with boy, I saw that, I experienced that with a boy who was 14 years old. And he is someone who used to really, you know, uh, he really took a lot of inspiration from his elder sister. So he used to, just to get his English right and his accent right, he used to copy her because he took inspiration from her. So his body language and the way he used to speak changed, for which he was bullied a lot. Now, in his case, now if the case was that he liked someone of the same gender, yes, there, of course, acceptance comes in over there. You have to understand it. It's just like anything else. There, in this case, it was a result. When I spoke to the child so much, it was purely a result of bullying so much. It was so much put in his mind from the peers in the school that he started believing that, which was not true. And who is the first person he must go and he must talk about this? It will be his parents only, no? And if the parents are not understanding that, who else will? So, empathy, exercise empathy with your child. Whenever your child is trying to say something, lend them a ear, listen to them. Again, if you are unjudging yourself, you will not jump to any judgments. You will listen with a very, very free mind. You will understand the emotion. You will connect with them. Fourth is appreciation and acknowledgement. By appreciation and acknowledgement, I mean, I do this activity with children a lot where I ask them to write down their amazing qualities. Some of them don't start, some of them reach 3 or 4. Some of them ask me also, do you mean good qualities or bad qualities? When I've said amazing qualities, they are not used to listening good things about themselves in straight words. So um, there's something very beautiful which a parent did. I mean, I take a lot of inspiration from certain parents. And so his student appeared for a student council, this thing, and he could not get selected. And he had worked really hard on it. Okay. And when he came back home, so the father firstly congratulated him for his efforts, because that time he was a little down. He was feeling bad. He was feeling bad about it. Of course, he was feeling rejected, failure. A lot of things were coming in his mind. So first he asked him that, first he congratulated him for his efforts. He said, I've seen you working so hard for it. And that is something that really counts. So he first brought him on his page. He gave him that confidence. And then later they were having a conversation the next day. Then he asked him, what is it? So a way of giving feedback or receiving feedback, both ways. What is it that you did really well? What is it that you could have done better? So let the child think on his own, build his own thinking on how he could have done better. In that case, I do this without being judgmental here, but again, having a thinking. I think we have a question. If
Yes,
a
it's from
teacher believes,
Anuradha, but I think we can take that in the Q&A.
okay, yeah, so it's about appreciation and acknowledgement. Give any genuine and be very genuine in your appreciation, because uh, children are smart enough. They know it when you're faking it. So be very genuine. You're wearing a nice shirt or you're looking good, whatever it is. And they are children, teenagers are very body conscious at that age. So that's one thing that you can do. The fifth is, which I have already touched upon a little, is respecting the closed door policy. And that is something that came from a 15-year-old, where he said that, I was off the day and I was just sitting in my room, and my mom just, she just barged into the room and she just sat next to me. And of course, it is both ways. But then he's like, I wanted my space at that point in time. I didn't want her to be there. But of course, then the work is required on both ends. The child also has to communicate that this is the thing, and the mother also can ask, things like that can happen. So respecting the closed door policy for sure. So 5 things that uh, come into picture over here. So coming into, and there are a few more points which I have mentioned in the book. The third part is action. Action is basically on when you have to actually go on the ground. Like right now, पूरी army training हो गई है, अब आप war zone में जा रहे हो. So you have to actually go and troubleshoot their whatever things that are coming up from them, which could be anywhere from managing their anxiety to managing their aggression to managing body image things to communicating. Now, sometimes what happens now, see, nurturing has to be the first way. In some cases, you also have to set certain rules, because some behavior, again, depending upon the age, so every age is different. In some ages, you tell the child, he or she will do it. In some age groups, especially the teenage, you can negotiate. You have to get into a negotiation stage. So a lot of skills required as a parent, negotiation skills, a lot of things required. And then you have to come to a point where you may or may not have to set rules. Now, when you set rules for your children, I do an activity with children where I make them understand their rights and their privileges. And unfortunately for teenagers, the only rights they have as a teenager is that they get good education, good food, education, food, and shelter from their parents. Okay. Mobile phone is a privilege. Mobile phone is a privilege. So, as parents, you have the authority to, children set up their passcodes and they don't allow their parents to be part of it. A lot of that happens. Uh, before giving a phone to your children, uh, you always make the things very clear, because see, that is especially for a teenager, that's your only level of authority you have, because you have to buy the phone, so the money has to come from you. That's the only level of authority. So sometimes you have to use that authority in saying that, okay, you can have the phone if these things are happening. It is to connect us, not to disconnect us. If it is being used, I will have access to the passcode. With a few of my clients, especially in the US and UK, we've even gone to the extent of setting teen phone contracts. Contracts are where the child signs it and the parent signs it. It takes care of everything, pornographic content, everything. So if a parent finds it, there will be certain, it can be taken away from you or whatever can happen. But again, rules come into picture at a very extreme situation when nothing works. Okay. Also, a very good way to start it at a very young age is where you have a kind of a family charter. When you sit with your children and you're sitting all together, one emotion that you want to feel as a family together, any one emotion. It can be love, it can be togetherness, whatever is that one emotion that you want to feel. And then how each member of the family, so you make the emotion, then you make a chart. So the father, the mother, the son, the daughter, or if it's single parents, the father, the mother, whatever it is, and either ways. So then you decide that um, what is that each one can do to make that emotion work. For example, togetherness. Uh, my mom or dad, whoever is the one who's working longer, comes back a little early to spend time together. If there is a movie night where we want to watch the movie, a lot of in the virtual time, a lot of family movies have happened, fortunately. So my parent comes in time. If the parent doesn't come in time, there is a mild, not a punishment, but a fun thing for them to do. Like if there is one parent who's never entered the kitchen, he needs to go and get water for everyone. So making it more fun at a very young age. So you're starting with the time where you're not putting the child on the spot, but you're setting rules for everyone. If a child is using the phone more, then he also has to bear a certain thing. Uh, Now, when I talk about action, it's that entire journey that takes place. If there are any specific emotions here, okay, great. Yeah. So then, for example, if it's screen time, I'll take you to the entire journey of screen time: awareness, acceptance, action. By the way, screen time is one thing which the world is researching on how to get the kids off it. But again, conversation and rapport is something that has the highest probability of working. When that doesn't work, then rules come in. That's how it is. Anyways, so a very realistic way of it working is, which has worked for my students at least, and for families that I've worked with, is first step is reflection. So everyone who's here, I'll just take a few seconds. If you want, you can close your eyes. Just reflect back on your own childhood. Take a few deep breaths. Reflect back on your own childhood. What are the games you used to play? From Chupan Chupai to, uh, Ooch Neech and Pakran Pakadai. How did those games, Pittu, yes, Tapu and Pittu, amazing Anuradha. How did those games make you feel? They made you feel thrilled. It felt like a challenge. I have to do this. Whenever I play it next time, I'll play it better. You used to feel so happy. Yes, cycling. When you used to cycle, how you used to feel so fresh. It used to be like, wow, so peaceful, so happy, so confident. Keeping all those emotions in your mind. Whenever you're ready, just open your eyes. These are all the emotions our children are feeling when they are on the digital devices, when they are playing those games over there. Irrespective, for a moment, just forget what's right, what's wrong. It's about becoming aware of what they are feeling over there. It's about acknowledging those emotions. Then, when you go and have a conversation with them, they will connect with you. For a change, ask them what is the web series they are watching? How fun was it? What is amazing of that? Then go to the next step of asking them. Now, children, now I have teenagers coming and telling me, especially in this pandemic time, they understand the negative impacts of technology. Let me tell you that. They know what are the negative impacts. They have that wisdom. He said, one of the 14-year-olds told me that my day starts with on a laptop and it ends on a Kindle. And he was having severe headaches because of that. They also want to get out of it. They understand the negative impact. So let them, there's a lot of positives of technology also. That's why we are connected over here today. That's why we can connect globally to so many people today. But then ask your child about the negative impacts of technology. Let it come from him rather than coming it from you. And then ask him what is an alternative thing he would like to do in place of that. That's when his mind will start working and he will realize that, yes, I like playing the guitar also. I like this also. I like that also. But it's coming from him. It doesn't come as an instruction from you. Uh, with teenagers, we cannot follow a teach and tell approach anymore. It has to be an approach where they are thinking, where they are taking the lead because they want to. They want to take decisions on their own, but they are not equipped to. I work with them on teaching them decision making processes that we learned in the corporate world, and they understand it now. So they know I have to evaluate every particular thing. what are the pros and cons of it, what is this, what is that, everything they evaluate, and they know what is working for them, what is not working for them. Because when it comes from them, it comes as a reflection, it comes as a realization. Uh, there'll be more conviction in doing it, there'll be more passion in doing it. If it comes from us, it becomes an order, it becomes an instruction. And the second way is, of course, so kids don't respond to teach and tell, but they respond to show and see. The way you have managed your emotions in the pandemic time uh, has had a lot of influence on the way they would react to it. Smita is writing something. I tried to bond with my daughter over dancing, but failed miserably when I realized she hated it beautifully. So try to come up with a thing that she enjoys. Oh, Hostages is something you watched?
Yeah, and my daughter is so sweet. She's saying, there are certain scenes you can just forward them. I was like, hello, I should be telling you this. But I think there are some advantages of technology, as you said. There are very beautiful series, on the net, which if you watch as a family, it really, really, makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, two such would be, one is Social Dilemma. Not for the 15 to 17-year-olds. They have like quite not liked the idea, where the parents have even pushed them to watch it. They have not liked it. They found it a little boring. But Social Dilemma is something you can even make the younger generation watch, even the ones younger than 15, because the way it shows how your robots in the hands of all the social media sites, uh, and how the children, where they think they are getting their independence, but they will realize how much dependent they are on them, how much they are being controlled over. Their parents are nothing. They are controlling you much more than anybody else. So they not have real independence. The other is a movie called Soul, which
Yeah.
recently came. It's a beautiful movie. And it talks about the entire journey. Then one of the older movies, Inside Out, that is, I think that a lot of people know about. These are movies that, so introducing children to emotions, Inside Out is a beautiful movie because they have characterized everybody into that. So yeah, so that really works, even
So,
for that
Rajat,
monster.
yeah, Anuradha also had a question. Anuradha, do you want to go ahead and ask it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, hi Rajat, this is Anuradha. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. uh,
Uh, Thank you. So Rajat, I just mentioned the question as this is a virtual classes going on for the kids, and my daughter is in ninth grade. She has a complaint, and this is a new school for her. Teacher, herself bully her in the class sometimes. When they ask doubt, she says you don't study, and when they don't ask the doubt, she says, oh, बहुत अच्छा, आप लोग बहुत intelligent हो, पढ़ लेते हो, cheating करते हो, all these things. So as it is a very new school for her, because I shifted from Bangalore to Baroda, means I was traveling across before COVID. So now how to handle this? Because if I
how
go
old
to,
is she? How old is she?
she is 15.
She's 15. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, see, the first step for you is to talk to your daughter and asking her how does it make her feel. So get her emotions first into place, and then ask her that, what are the steps you would like to take. If she doesn't come up with anything, then ask her, do you want me to speak to the teacher? In some cases, a 15-year-old, if it's a fear stopping her, it's a different thing that has to be worked upon. But if if it is purely, if she thinks that she can handle it better, do ask her if she can handle it better. Otherwise, uh, a very generic way is to have a conversation first, a conversation with your child, then you can
She
have a
only,
conversation.
sorry to interrupt, Rajat. She only shared all these things with me, because when she sits in the class and she was facing since so many months, almost say March. Since March, she's having her virtual classes. So she only shared with me since last time. Also, she shared Mama, I'm facing this thing every time. She bullies in the class. When I ask her doubt, she says, "Oh, you don't know this, so you were absent." Because she takes leave very rarely. Then also she tells oh, तुम absent थी इसलिए तुम्हें कहाँ से आएगा. And then when she doesn't ask, oh, ठीक है, तुमने cheating करके लिखा होगा. But she's a very good student, and this is the new school, and
But
here
the
she's
teacher is being
facing.
very judgmental, right?
Yeah, and she is a ranker throughout from her childhood. And this is a
But
news.
what does your daughter say? What does she want? Does she want you to speak to the teacher?
Yeah, I asked her. She said, "Mama, if you can talk to her." And then again, like confusing. Mama, अगर आप बात करोगे तो फिर वापस वो मेरे साथ, because again from 10th, 11th, 12th, she'll be the teacher. She's in ICSE and she had taken humanity, so she's an economics teacher. So again, she will face the same teacher. And if the same thing happens, because it's affecting my daughter like anything, especially for economic subject.
Yeah. So see, the ideal solution for it has to be to speak to the teacher, but then it has to be first come with the consent of your daughter. If she's okay with it, then go ahead and have a conversation with the teacher. And if nothing happens at the teacher level, you can even go higher. The school has to deal with it.
There is a question from me. I'm asking you to unmute.
Sure. Thank you, Sukriti, and thanks, Rajat, for the wonderful discussion which is going on. Thanks for this platform. My question is more to do with, my daughter. She's 12-year-old, and she, keeps on asking me that she wants to have one pet. So I'm more concerned whether to encourage that or discourage that, because
Okay.
at this age, I want her to, first fix her things together. So that is what my question is.
Okay. What's stopping you from doing it? What's stopping you from getting a pet?
So ideally, I want her to be, little more active in terms of arranging her things, putting her things together, than nurturing or taking care of another pet, because that is a life, as an individual, who will be like we'll be taking care of. So that's the reason.
Okay. So in this case, have you put this across to her already? This is the reason you're not getting her a pet?
Yes, yeah.
There
So
is
we
no
have
other
actually.
reason. There is no other reason. It's not that somebody doesn't like a pet in the family or something like that.
So yeah, my husband, so father, he doesn't like pet, and we have actually got that understanding built with her, that we want her to arrange, and we'll see whether she is doing her course properly, and that accordingly we'll take a decision.
Okay. What's the bigger reason? Is it that the father doesn't want it, or is it because you want her to be more responsible before?
uh, Both the reasons are there. So yes, we want her to be responsible. So it's just that she will be responsible for a week, and after that she'll be again, because she loses trust that we are not going to get her pet.
Okay. Give her a 3-month goal.
Okay.
Uh, to on what grounds she's not cleaning her room, not doing her things? Is that the stuff?
Yeah, cleaning her room, or just arranging her stuff. But otherwise, from study and all, we don't have any complaints or anything
Yeah,
against
so
her.
there are two ways to do it. If there are two situations, because I faced a situation with another 11-year-old who was a boy who
Okay.
really wanted a dog because he wanted a pet
Hmm.
dog because all his friends have pet dogs.
Yeah.
But the mother was really against it because she's really really scared of dogs. Her reason
Okay.
was that, so she didn't want it. So when we spoke to the child, we first understood that I understood that why does he really want a pet?
Hmm.
So it was not really that he was an animal lover, but he wanted it because everybody else wanted it, had it, sorry. So his friends had it. So that was the reason for it. So that reason has to be tackled very different. So first understanding why does she really want it. If it's because she's an animal lover, if she really loves it, great. The second reason, if you want her to be more responsible, give at least 3 weeks or more time to it. Because if you have to build any habit in her of more responsibility,
Hmm.
and it takes time. It cannot happen in 1 week, even more time if it's required. So give her a target, a goal, uh, that uh, if you're able to do this till this time, set it up as a goal. And so, okay, fine. This is what you want. This is the pet that you want. What all is required to take care of a pet? Let her get into the
Right.
realities of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then exhibit that behavior for a certain period of time. If you do it, great. So then you will get a pet. If any single day you're not doing it, probably your days will get increased or something will happen that way.
Right. Yeah.
And she may react to it. She may have her things, but then you have to be, stern on that. But have conversations with her. She should not in any way feel that my parents don't love me or anything like that. So that has to be taken care of.
One last question, Rajat, I'll ask you. We all feel that we have turned out quite well and our parents did an okay job. Why do we feel that the traditional approach to parenting is no longer working?
The traditional approach was parenting was based on a lot of authority, a lot of control, a lot of power. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us, I'm sure, I mean, there will be some of us who were like really obedient children. Like I was a very, very obedient kid. And there will be some of us who were very rebellious also. Huh? But then still there was a traditional thing, was a lot of teach and tell and stuff like that. But now it's more about show and see, because the level of the IQ of children these days, the kind of awareness they have. I mean, I asked I have a 10-year-old student, and I asked him to make these thought sheets, and we had just started. In a week, he came up, sir, there's an app for it. I'm like, he found an app for it. So you have to deal with children very differently. Now it's more of a one level approach rather than, there is no hierarchy anymore. So you have to be one level with them. If you're not be ready for the responses.
Now, my
That
and then one more question, and this is always a dilemma. Do you be a friend or are you a parent?
be real. Be real with your children. They understand real emotions. You see, children know that you are an adult and you're a parent. They have that understanding. So if you try to get too friendly with them, also they will understand it. So just be real with them, but with certain level of empathy, right? So if you're managing your thoughts, if you're managing your emotions, you're there.
Well, thank you. I know we have gone above the time. So, Rajat, any last thoughts before we leave for tonight?
I just want them to go through a recap because visuals work. That's the only reason I had the slides, was just because it's a recap for all of you. Uh, can I do that? It'll be very quick.
Sure, sure, please.
So yeah, so as I said, it's a journey of awareness, acceptance, and action. Awareness is where you understand how balanced your life is. You also reflect upon self, your childhood patterns, and how they are manifesting in your relationship with your child. Understanding your patterns and triggers is what we discussed. Going on to acceptance, where you're working on developing your own emotional intelligence and self-regulation skills. So how you manage your thoughts and emotions, how you communicate with your child so that you can nurture a resilient child. Action in terms of troubleshooting common teen issues, which could be screen time, anxiety, aggression. Lying is something very major. I have an entire chapter on this in the book. So how you prevent children from lying, because that is something which is happening across age groups. And yes, as I said, there are any more questions or any across, I'm reading. So that's a recap. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rajat, for joining us today. I think we're having some issue with the audio, but thank you all for joining us tonight, and I hope you found it useful. As Rajat has shared his contact information, also feel free to reach out to us. At Sipping Thoughts, we have lots of interesting sessions coming up, so please do keep checking back. They're posted on our website. You'll be getting the mailers. But Rajat, once again, thank you for a very, very informative session.
Thank you so much gratitude, and I'm glad if I could create